A dog seeks help from FBI agents, and when they follow him, they are left paralyzed. The sun beamed down on the busy morning at FBI headquarters, where everything was running like clockwork. Amid the daily rush, a scrappy white dog named Buddy showed up at the glass doors barking, not in fear but like he had something urgent to say. Most agents brushed him off like he was just another stray. But Buddy didn't back down. His eyes carried a silent message, one too important to ignore. That's when young Agent Lucy Taylor noticed him. She was just stepping out for coffee when Buddy caught her eye, and in that one look, something tugged at her heart. She saw how tired he was, ribs showing, paws dirty from a long road. With quiet care, she gave him water. He drank like he hadn't seen kindness in days. Then Buddy did something unexpected. He gently tugged on her jacket, like a child asking for help. Lucy, though new at the FBI, trusted her gut. This dog wasn't lost, he had a mission. When her boss, Michael Daniels, barked at her to leave the dog alone, Lucy stood her ground. Something about Buddy felt too real, too human. "I need to see where he wants to go," she told her boss, heart steady but voice soft. And so she followed him, step by step, through quieter streets, away from the noise and pressure of the FBI world. Buddy would glance back every now and then, making sure she was still there. Lucy didn't know what waited ahead, but she knew this. Buddy had come to find her for a reason. And that bond between them, silent but strong, felt like something fate had stitched together. As Lucy walked alongside Buddy, she began speaking to him like he could understand. "What do you want to show me, Buddy?" "Why me?" she asked softly. Buddy didn't answer with words, but his steady pace said enough. He had a purpose. In that moment, Lucy realized she trusted this dog more than some of the people she worked with. There was something honest and urgent in the way Buddy moved, like he was born to help. Meanwhile, Michael Daniels, the no-nonsense head of the FBI division, watched from afar. He wasn't one for distractions, and seeing Lucy follow a dirty, skinny stray dog made his blood pressure rise. To him it looked ridiculous, but to Lucy it felt right. Standing nearby, Ryan Edwards, the team's tech guy, noticed something different too. "That dog doesn't seem lost," he said, adjusting his glasses. "He's got a reason for what he's doing." Michael wasn't convinced. "It's just a dog," he repeated, trying to convince himself more than anyone else. Still, something about Buddy's calm focus made him uneasy. The dog wasn't begging. He wasn't scared. He was leading, like he knew exactly where he needed to go. Michael muttered, "She's not going to stop, is she?" "Doesn't look like it," Ryan replied, a little impressed. And strangely, even Ryan, who usually stayed behind screens and keyboards, felt drawn into whatever was unfolding. Finally, Michael gave in with a reluctant sigh. "Let's follow them. But if this turns out to be nothing, Lucy's going to regret pulling me out of my office." As they trailed behind, Michael kept a watchful eye on the dog. Buddy's every step was focused, like he was following an invisible map. Every few steps, he'd glance back at Lucy to make sure she was still there. As the group left the city's familiar chaos behind, the streets grew quieter and the air heavier. The alleys were narrow, the walls covered in graffiti, and something in the air felt damp and strange. Ryan grew uneasy. "This is starting to get weird," he muttered. "Weird doesn't even begin to cover it," Michael answered, his usual confidence cracking a bit. And then Buddy paused at a narrow alley. He looked up at Lucy almost like he was asking, "Can we keep going?" Lucy didn't hesitate. She followed. Michael and Ryan, now more curious than skeptical, followed too. None of them knew what was waiting ahead. But all of them, especially Lucy, felt it deep down. Buddy wasn't just a stray dog. He was leading them somewhere for a reason. There was something about Buddy. Even Michael, with all his doubts, couldn't brush it off. When Buddy turned down an even narrower alley, the group followed in silence. No traffic. No people. Just the sound of their own footsteps echoing off the walls. Lucy felt a chill, but something in her gut told her to trust the dog. Eventually, Buddy stopped in front of an old, crumbling warehouse. The place looked forgotten. Broken windows, rusted walls, and weeds crawling over the gate. The entrance hung open slightly, creaking in the wind. It felt eerie, like the building had been waiting for them. Michael stared at it and muttered, "This is it?" His voice was barely above a whisper. Buddy barked, ran to the gate and sat down like he was saying, "This is where you need to be." Lucy looked at Michael, who shook his head. "If this is nothing, you'll have to explain yourself," he warned. "I'll take full responsibility," she replied, calm but firm. She knelt next to Buddy. "Is this what you wanted to show us?" In response, Buddy stood and scratched at the warehouse door. Michael, now on alert, called in backup. Even with his doubts, he couldn't ignore the dog anymore. Ryan looked around and noticed clues, fresh tire marks, signs someone had been here recently. "Boss, I think this place is being used. It's not just abandoned," he said. Michael gave the signal and the agents prepared to enter. Lucy's heart was racing. She didn't know what they would find, but she was ready. As the heavy door creaked open, Buddy stayed close to her side, standing tall like a guard dog. Inside it was dark and thick with the smell of mildew and metal. Flashlights cut through the shadows, revealing cages, rusted, stacked, and filled with dogs. Some were so thin they could barely stand. Their fur was matted, their eyes empty. A wave of sadness hit Lucy like a punch to the chest. She knelt by one cage where tiny puppies trembled in the corner. "My God," she whispered, tears welling. Buddy stood beside her, eyes locked on the suffering animals, as if to say, "This is why I brought you here." Michael and the agents searched deeper into the warehouse. Raphael found a hidden panel and started scanning it. "Boss, there's something big here," he said. Michael, stunned, nodded. "This is bigger than I thought." Then a sudden noise cut through the silence, footsteps and metal creaking. Michael raised a hand. "Someone's here," he warned. Two armed men emerged from the shadows and opened fire. The warehouse burst into chaos. The agents took cover. Lucy crouched behind a pillar with Buddy beside her, heart pounding. But Buddy didn't hide, he leapt forward. He bit one of the men hard in the arm, causing him to drop his weapon. Lucy seized the moment, she jumped in, disarmed the man and pinned him to the ground. "Good boy," she whispered, her voice shaking as she patted Buddy quickly. Michael led the agents through the standoff. After several intense minutes, the gunfire stopped. The criminals were captured. Quiet returned, broken only by the whimpers of the dogs and the agents clearing the scene. Michael looked at Buddy, a new expression on his face, part awe, part disbelief. This dog hadn't just led them here. He had saved lives. Buddy had done more in one day than most agents do in their whole careers. Michael shook his head with rare admiration. Lucy smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest. "He knew, boss," she said. "He knew we needed to be here." As agents freed the dogs and gathered evidence, Ryan discovered something huge. The data from the panel showed a full-blown animal trafficking network stretching across several states. "This isn't just some old warehouse," he told Michael. "This place is the heart of something much bigger." Lucy looked at Buddy, now sitting beside her, tongue out but eyes still sharp. He had led them here. He had braved danger. He had saved lives. To Lucy, Buddy wasn't just a stray dog. He was a hero. Thanks to him, the FBI now had the evidence to take down an entire illegal network. Buddy met Lucy's eyes, and for a moment, it felt like he understood just how much he'd done. This was only the beginning. Word spread fast. It's not every day a dog helps the FBI stop a major criminal operation. The skinny, dirty stray who'd wandered up to the FBI's door was now being called a national hero. A few days later, the FBI held a ceremony. The sun was shining. Reporters, cameras, and a small crowd gathered outside the headquarters. In the center of it all stood Buddy, clean, coat gleaming, a blue bandana around his neck. He seemed to know it was his day. Lucy stood by his side in full uniform. She usually stayed behind the scenes, but today she felt proud and a little nervous. Michael took the stage. His voice, usually firm and sharp, carried a rare softness. "Today we celebrate more than a mission," he said. "We celebrate courage and instinct, and the lesson that heroes can come in the most unexpected forms." He looked at Buddy. This dog who came out of nowhere showed more courage and determination than many people ever do. The crowd applauded. Michael wasn't finished. "We also honor Agent Lucy Taylor," he said, turning to her. "She trusted her gut. She trusted Buddy. And because of that, we're here today." Lucy blushed and looked down at Buddy, who sat quietly, calm and proud. An agent stepped forward with a small golden medal on a blue ribbon. It was engraved, "Heroism and Service, Buddy, Four-Legged Hero." Michael knelt and placed it gently around Buddy's neck. The crowd cheered. Buddy wagged his tail, beaming with joy, drawing smiles and laughter. Lucy knelt beside him and whispered, "You deserve this, Buddy. You're amazing." He looked at her with the same loyal gaze he had on the day they met. After the ceremony, journalists swarmed to learn more. Buddy's story spread everywhere, on TV, in newspapers, all over social media. He became more than a hero dog. He became a symbol of courage, kindness, and hope. But to Lucy, Buddy wasn't just a headline. He was her partner. He taught her to trust her instincts, and believe in what others might miss. As they walked home together that day, she knew Buddy hadn't just changed the world. He had changed her life forever. The investigation that followed uncovered a massive trafficking network. The files from the warehouse led to arrests, raids, and rescues across the country. Animals were saved and sent to shelters, many finding loving homes. But the impact didn't stop there. Buddy's story lit a fire in the public's heart. It raised awareness, sparked action, and reminded people that even in a world full of darkness, a single brave soul, even a stray dog, can bring light. With all eyes on the case, people finally began to wake up. Lawmakers took action, pushing for tougher laws against animal trafficking and better rules for how animals are sold and transported. The operation made one thing clear. Animal trafficking wasn't some small-time crime, it was a cruel, hidden industry that needed to be stopped. Across the country, animal protection groups saw a huge wave of support. People opened their hearts, giving money, time, and even homes to animals in need. Communities started watching more closely, looking out for anything suspicious. Buddy's actions had sparked more than just arrests. They lit a fire in people's hearts. At the FBI, the impact was personal. Michael, once all logic and rules, started to appreciate the value of instincts, and even the bark of a stray dog. Raphael, moved by Lucy and Buddy's bravery, got more involved in field work. And Lucy? She became known not just for her skills, but for her heart. She kept doing what she did best, fighting for those who couldn't fight for themselves. And Buddy? He became a national treasure. But to Lucy, he was more than a headline or hero. He was her partner, her friend, the quiet reminder that sometimes great change starts with something small, like hearing a dog cry out for help. After everything, Buddy finally got the life he had always deserved. No more cold, no more hunger, no more fear. Lucy, who had felt something special the moment she met him, decided to adopt him. Not as a hero, but as family. When Buddy stepped into Lucy's apartment for the first time, he moved slowly, sniffing each corner as if trying to believe this was real. The place was cozy, filled with soft light and warmth. Lucy had made a special corner just for him, with a soft bed, clean water, and toys. But Buddy, as always, seemed more interested in her than anything else. He followed her around like a shadow, making sure she wouldn't disappear. "Welcome home, Buddy," Lucy whispered, kneeling to stroke his head. His eyes looked up at her, full of trust, as if saying, "I'm finally safe." In the days that followed, Buddy started to experience joy in ways he never had before. He had food. He had space. Most importantly, he had love. Lucy took him to the park, where at first he was hesitant, unsure if he was really allowed to just be happy. But slowly his tail wagged more often. He ran. He played. He smiled in his own dog way. Lucy's life changed too. After long, exhausting days at work, she came home to Buddy's eager tail wags and loving eyes. He wasn't just a dog, he was her peace, her reminder of hope. One evening, sitting beside him on the couch, Lucy looked at Buddy and thought about everything he'd been through. Once thin and lost, now safe and loved. He wasn't just a hero. He had found what everyone longs for, a place to belong. Buddy rested his head on her lap and let out a long sigh. It was the sound of someone who knew they'd never be alone again. And that's when Lucy realized she didn't just save Buddy. He saved her too, in ways she hadn't known she needed. From that moment on, Buddy lived the life he deserved, full of love, safety, and peace. And Lucy? She knew they had found something rare. Something many spend a lifetime searching for, a true home. Buddy's story became more than a news piece. It was a turning point, a reminder that kindness, courage, and listening, really listening, can change the world. He had been a stray dog, ignored and forgotten. But Lucy heard his bark. And because she listened, evil was stopped and countless lives were saved. Buddy taught the world that everyone matters. That no matter where you come from or what you look like, you have something to give. His instincts sparked a movement. His loyalty inspired change. And people began paying more attention, looking closer, caring deeper, because they knew now that even the smallest actions like stopping to hear a dog's bark could change everything. Buddy's story delivered a powerful message. Never overlook the impact of a small act. A glance, a moment of attention, or a bit of courage can start a chain reaction no one sees coming. Just like Buddy found someone who believed in him, real change often begins when someone simply decides to care. For Lucy, Buddy's journey became more than just a mission. It became a lesson in life. She learned that trusting her heart, even when others couldn't see what she saw, could lead to something amazing. And Buddy showed the world that even the most unlikely hero can make a real difference. Today, Buddy lives a joyful life, safe and surrounded by love. But what he stands for goes way beyond his own story. He reminds us that empathy and bravery, no matter how small they seem, can change someone's life completely. Buddy teaches us that when we choose to be kind and bold, we don't just help others, we change ourselves too. His story is a gentle reminder that sometimes, the most extraordinary things are hidden in the quietest places, like the bark of a dog asking for help. And so ends the inspiring journey of Buddy, a hero we never expected, who taught us that the simplest things can carry the greatest power: empathy, courage, and not giving up. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to leave a like to support the channel and help spread more messages like this one, and make sure to subscribe, so you don't miss any of our inspiring and meaningful content. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video.